Hi, this is Debbie with Westgate, and today we're going to look at some of the most commonly tested vocabulary words on the Scholastic Aptitude Test. These are words that we're going to use in sentences so you hear them in context, and then there's an exercise at the end that'll test your ability to understand and retain the information. These are great recordings that you can listen to over and over again if you want to perfect your understanding of the words. Okay, let's start with the first one. Abhor. Abhor is used as a verb and it means to hate or despise. We would use it this way. Mr. Jones is an abusive man. I believe that he often hits his wife. I absolutely abhor men who beat women. Next word is blasphemous. It's an adjective, and it is offensive speech, and it's particularly used in a religious context, so things that are blasphemous are usually against established religious beliefs. So here's an example. He is not only disrespectful of religious viewpoints, he actually goes out of his way to make blasphemous statements to get attention. You'll also see this word used as a noun, which is blasphemy, and it's the act of being blasphemous. And so, for example, a common usage of this would work the following way. Spitting on a holy book is an act of blasphemy. Cringe, which is a verb, means to recoil or move away from something. So you would jump back. His bad breath combined with his body odor made me cringe when he came in for the hug. Tenacious, which is an adjective. It can mean stubborn, resolute. So we often will use this to describe things that are out of control and hard to get rid of. So for example, his type of cancer is rather tenacious, as it is hard to treat due to its rapid growth and resistance to chemotherapy. Acquiesce, a verb, and this means to give into or to agree. And usually it's to agree with a certain amount of force associated with it. So Matthew wants to go to the football games every weekend, but Avery is not so thrilled. Because she wants to spend time with him, though, she will usually acquiesce and go along with him. Impervious, adjective, and it means unaffected or impenetrable. She kept on smiling, seemingly impervious to the insults her mother-in-law kept throwing her way. Another example. I'm completely shocked. Even though Fahed is from Saudi Arabia, he seems impervious to our cold weather. Paragon. This is a noun, and it means a model of excellence or perfection. Many females think that to be ultra-thin is the paragon of beauty and fitness, but in truth, most men prefer females with a few curves. Quagmire. This is a noun, and it's a particularly difficult situation. It's difficult to figure out the best approach to the problems in Iraq. I feel like we're in a rather unique quagmire. I can't imagine anyone would support us going back to Iraq to help support their citizens against ISIS, but doing nothing is also tragic. I'm not sure what we should do. So a quagmire is not just any difficult situation, but one that's particularly tricky to solve. Somnolent, adjective, and it means sleepy or drowsy. Reading a book before bedtime put Sarah in a somnolent state, and before long she fell asleep. Truculent, this is an adjective. I see this one a lot on the SAT. It means cruel, ready to fight, somebody who's really argumentative and can get physical. As an example, I am astounded at the number of truculent drivers on the highways. They seriously need to go to some anger management classes. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you questions that use these vocabulary words in them and see if you can answer them in a way that would make sense. So if you don't understand what the sentence is asking you, you probably want to flip back through the PowerPoint and look at the vocab words again. They are in the same order that we did them. So for example, this is how you would use abhor in a question. What qualities would you abhor in a boyfriend or girlfriend? So think for a moment. Maybe you would abhor bad hygiene or bad breath. Or maybe you would also abhor somebody who's verbally abusive. Okay? So this is a really, really strong dislike. So I'll give you my answers after I give you a moment to see if you can come up with your own answers, okay? What do you consider more blasphemous? Denying global warming or denying a higher power? What seems more blasphemous to you? So if somebody's very environmentally conscious and very active and a global warming advocate, that might be very blasphemous to them. They get very upset if people try to challenge them. And then religious people might consider it blasphemy if you say negative things towards their belief system or their god or their gods. What sort of smells make you cringe? So what sort of smells make you cringe? That might make you jump back and wrinkle up your nose and just turn your head away. You want to get away from it. Maybe the smell of sulfur or hard-boiled eggs or a skunk. Something that you really don't like will make you cringe. Have you ever had a tenacious virus sweep through your school or office? If so, did you catch it? Usually, there's one or two tenacious viruses that will go through public spaces every year. The flu, a really bad cold, or a stomach virus, and everybody just seems to catch it. That would be very tenacious. Gets in there and it holds on and it spreads. It's very strong and stubborn. Next, when you're in a group and they all want to do something that you aren't into, do you acquiesce? Or do you just say, see you later? So if you acquiesce, you're giving into the crowd and kind of doing what they want to do, even though you don't really want to. Or if you weren't going to acquiesce, maybe you would just go home and do something that you really want to do yourself. Is your raincoat impervious to water? Hopefully it is impervious to water if it's a raincoat. That means that the rain is impenetrable through your coat. It can't get through to your coat. Next one. Who do you regard as the paragon of male beauty? Well, these answers could vary wildly depending on people's personal tastes and preferences. Maybe James Bond or your favorite movie star. Has your best friend ever, sorry, I just noticed that was a typo there. Has your best friend ever involved you in a relationship quagmire? So quagmires will often involve people and complicated situations. Maybe she's brought a friend into the group that you all don't get along with and nobody knows how to tell her and you just don't know how to solve the problem. That's a quagmire. 2 more. What makes you somnolent? Warm milk before you go to bed? Does that make you somnolent? Maybe a dark room? Maybe the sound of a fan? So what makes you sleepy or drowsy? What makes you somnolent? And lastly, have you ever come across a truculent toddler? We call them the terrible twos. If so, how did you handle him or her? A truculent toddler would be somebody who just sits down in the middle of the store and starts screaming and throwing their arms and legs around. They're ready for an argument. They just are in a bad mood. So I hope these helped. We'll move on to the next 10 words with our next session. Thanks, and hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.